The ninth Cricket World Cup was played over 6 weeks in the Caribbean. Australia won the final, thrashing Sri Lanka. It was the most comprehensive World Cup win by any team in history, and an apt bookend to Australia's World Cup dominance that resulted in a hat-trick of titles. If you take 5 matches as the minimum, out of the 10 highest impact players of the tournament, 6 were Australian, namely Matthew Hayden, Glenn McGrath, Adam Gilchrist, Shaun Tait, Michael Clarke and Ricky Ponting. The highest impact batsman was Matthew Hayden. He was so dominating that he was higher impact than any all-rounder or bowler in the tournament too. The only time this has happened in any World Cup where only someone's batting impact is higher than any player's impact. Hayden failed just once in 10 innings, which is remarkable in itself, and he got his tournament-defining performance in the semi-final against South Africa, where, after having dismissed South Africa for 149, Australia were 1 for 1 with the possibilities of a low-scoring game imminent. But his 41 in 60 balls ensured that didn't happen. In the final, it was Adam Gilchrist all the way. He had failed right through the tournament with the bat, but he finished the rain-affected match off right at the top with 149 of 104 balls as Australia reached 281 for 4 in 38 overs. An insane score in those pre-T20 times. Sri Lanka did well to reach the final in conditions that were perhaps closest to their own. Jayawardene had the second highest runs tally impact in the tournament and was the third highest impact batsman in the tournament. Muralidharan, with 23 wickets at 15 apiece, took the second highest tally of wickets but was the third highest impact bowler in the tournament. Jayasuriya and Lasith Malinga also did well in the tournament. In particular, Malinga's consistency was remarkable. He did not fail even once in his 8 matches. Glenn McGrath and Shaun Tait were the highest impact bowlers of the tournament. Their destruction of South Africa in the semi-final getting them their tournament-defining performances. After Muralidharan, Brad Hogg was the highest impact spinner in the tournament with a remarkable consistency rate of 9%. He failed just once in 11 games. New Zealand did well to reach the semi-finals. Scott Styris was their star. His all-round prowess made him the 5th highest impact player in the tournament. Fast bowler Shane Bond was the next highest impact New Zealand player. It is a pity the world did not see him for much longer at his best. Injury and fitness issues finished his career prematurely. South Africa underachieved again. Even though Herschelle Gibbs stood out, he was 16th on the runs tally list but was the second highest impact batsman in the tournament, primarily because A. he absorbed the second highest pressure in the tournament after compatriot Justin Kemp, and B. he failed in just 2 of the 8 matches he batted in. Interesting that for a side associated with pathological choking, the 2 highest pressure impact batsmen were South African. India and Pakistan met with disastrous fates, both getting knocked out in the first round. India had the highest impact team they had ever sent to a World Cup, but they were loose against Bangladesh in their first game and were beaten. That led to them scrambling for a place in the Super 8s, and beating Sri Lanka was the only way they could do that, but they failed to do that and were knocked out. It was a huge shock to everyone, not least the sponsors and organizers of this tournament. But in the long run, it led to good things, as Dhoni would be elevated and he would find his own voice barely 6 months later in the first World T20 tournament, and the first signs of a new Indian team would take root. Pakistan's exit had much more tragic repercussions. They had already lost to West Indies in the opening game of the tournament and could not afford to lose any more. But in a match against still unfancied Ireland, they were knocked over for 132. Still, they appeared to be back in the game with Ireland 15 for 2 when their best batsman Ian Morgan, then playing for Ireland, was dismissed. In walked their wicketkeeper, Niall O'Brien, who took charge of proceedings, even threw 62 for 3 and 70 for 4, and was fifth out at 108. Brother Kevin, with a calm unbeaten 16, finished off the match from there as Ireland won by 3 wickets. Niall O'Brien's performance was the highest impact performance in this World Cup. Not many really remember it much now, and certainly not like they remember his brother's more spectacular innings against England in the next World Cup, 113 of 63 balls. Even though Niall's innings, 72 runs of 107 balls, had a 26% higher impact than Kevin's. A clear example of how impact accounts for match contexts. The tragic repercussion came that night when Pakistan coach and eminent cricketer thinker Bob Woolmer was found dead in his room. Given that it is highly unlikely that he would have died out of sorrow, it casts a shadow of match fixing and crime on events that have stayed till this day. Host West Indies had a poor tournament, despite beating Pakistan in the opening game, which turned out to be their only win against a major side. In their last game against England, with both teams out of contention for the semis, they lost when England had just 1 wicket and 1 ball to spare. It was Brian Lara's last one-day game. Despite a sparkling 77 against Australia in a lost cause, he had not looked anywhere near his best anyway. Australia cantered home in the final. This remains the highest impact Australian side till date to have ever played in the World Cup.